The End of Seeking Explained. Rupert Spira, a renowned teacher of non-duality, frequently discusses the theme of the end of seeking in his teachings, and it stands as a cornerstone of his approach to understanding the nature of the self and reality. For Spira, the end of seeking is not just a concept, but an experiential realization that shifts one's perception and understanding of the world. At its core, the end of seeking represents the moment when the individual recognizes that the very thing they have been searching for, whether happiness, fulfillment, peace, or sense of purpose, has always been inherently present within them. In Spira's view, human beings are often trapped in a cycle of seeking. This seeking can take many forms: the search for happiness in material possessions, relationships, status, or knowledge. We are conditioned to believe that we are incomplete, that there is something we must attain in order to become whole. This belief in our lack drives the perpetual seeking for something external that we think will bring us peace or satisfaction. But Spira explains that this quest is based on a misunderstanding, an illusion that we are separate from the peace we seek. The end of seeking, as Spira teaches, is the moment of realization when one sees that the very nature of the self is the peace and fulfillment they have been pursuing. The search, in this sense, ceases not because we stop desiring, but because we recognize that our true nature, awareness, or consciousness is already complete, whole, and peaceful. This is not an abstract concept, but a direct, lived experience that transforms the seeker's relationship with the world. This realization doesn't suggest that life, with all its complexity, is to be abandoned. Spira clarifies that the end of seeking is not about renouncing the world or withdrawing from activities. Instead, it's a shift in perspective, the recognition that the world, with all its forms, arises within the one constant presence of awareness. Rather than seeking fulfillment in the world, one begins to see the world as the expression of the fullness that already exists within. Spira often highlights that this peace is not something we need to get or achieve. It's not a future goal that we'll one day arrive at. Rather, it's always available in the present moment. The paradox is that when we stop looking for it, we find it everywhere, because we realize that it was never outside of us in the first place. Seeking is a kind of misunderstanding where the mind projects the idea that peace is something to be acquired. But when the seeking ceases, peace is revealed as our ever-present reality, which we were simply overlooking. One of the key teachings Spira offers is that self-inquiry, the practice of turning inward and observing the nature of awareness itself, helps to clarify this misunderstanding. When we inquire into the nature of our experience, we come to see that all experiences arise in awareness, but that we, as awareness, are not touched or altered by them. This simple yet profound shift in perception helps dissolve the false belief that we are separate from our experience, or that we must obtain something in order to be whole. Spira emphasizes that this understanding is not just intellectual, but must be directly experienced. The end of seeking marks the transition from striving and effort to being. It's a shift from constantly looking outside of ourselves for fulfillment to recognizing that the peace, happiness, and contentment we have been seeking are already here within us. In fact, they are the very nature of our awareness. This shift in perception brings a deep sense of relief and freedom. When we stop seeking for something out there, we begin to experience life in its fullness, free from the inner turmoil and restlessness that typically accompany the search for something else. The end of seeking isn't the end of desire or the end of living, but rather the cessation of the mistaken belief that we need to attain something to complete us. It's the recognition that, in our essence, we are already whole and complete. Thus, for Spira, the end of seeking is the beginning of a more effortless, spontaneous way of being. It's the realization that we are not a separate, individual entity striving for peace, but rather the very awareness in which all experiences, including the experience of seeking, appear. This recognition transforms how we relate to the world and ourselves, bringing with it an enduring sense of peace, happiness, and fulfillment. Ultimately, the end of seeking is the beginning of truly living in the present moment, without the need for anything more than what already is. Thank you for watching. Have a nice day. Bye.